Hello everybody! So as you can tell, this is not a makeup video, but I do have makeup on. But anywho, so today's video is going to be a little different. I did do one of these videos a long time ago when I first started YouTube. It was literally one of my first videos. And I talked a little bit about sleepwalking and night terrors and some of my ghost experiences. And a lot has happened between then and now. So this video, I just felt with a lot of sleepwalking and like spooky videos I've seen on TikTok, especially sleepwalking videos, I just kind of wanted to educate people more on handling a sleepwalker situation, which includes me. I am a sleepwalker. I had night terrors, and when I was younger, I used to sleepwalk, and around that time I shared a bedroom with one of my older siblings, and yeah, I probably terrified her a lot because I would get up and walk in my sleep. And just before I get reading on what I found and what I guess the science health community have found about sleepwalking. Sleepwalking is, please do not look at my nails like I know they're terrible and I want them off just as much as you, but I decided to go with gel so they would stay on longer, and at the end of the day, I thought that was a good idea because I've done that before and I was able to peel the gel off. But this stuff, I tried taking it off with nail polish remover. Some of the color came off, but none of it came off, so please do not pay attention to my nails. I want them off just as probably you guys do. But aside from that, sleepwalking there is like a scientific name for it, or phobia, a term, if you will, to probably describe sleepwalking. But to me, just off the bat, my experience of sleepwalking is, and God bless the person, whoever dates me, stays with me even though I sleepwalk, because I'm probably gonna scare the shit out of him the first time he will ever see me sleepwalk. So pray for the person whoever dates me and I sleepwalk in front of them, because it's terrifying. I'm not out here saying that is not scary, because it is. And really short description is that we're asleep, but we're also in that weird frame where you're asleep, but you operate and function as you would be during the day awake. And with me, I don't know if this is for everybody, when I sleepwalk, my eyes are open like I'm awake, and I get up from bed and I walk somewhere to do something, who knows. And the thing with my experience is like, I can't hear the person, nor do I hear myself, but I understand that someone is talking to me. And the best method is to not freak out. It's terrifying. Yes, I understand, especially if you haven't seen a person sleepwalk before. It's going to be very, very terrifying. But it's very simple to, make that situation not as terrifying. And that is just for the person who's, let's say I'm sleepwalking and you're freaking out. You're just like, what's going on? And blah, blah, blah. The key is for you, because again, like, we're functioning like we would in the day, but we don't understand why you're freaking out. But the main purpose is to be calm and just chat with us if you're a sleep talker too, which I am as well. Like, sometimes I say shit, and a good time it may not make sense at all. But yeah, basically the key is just for you to stay calm and collected, maybe chat with us, and just lead us back to bed. Like, that's all you really need to do, is that we need someone that we know, that we are comfortable with, and all you need to do is go like, hey, let's head back to bed, and lead us back to bed. And then we fall asleep, and I don't know if this goes for everyone, but when I finally get back to my bed and I'm laying down, I actually wake back up like out of breath, and I'm like, oh God. I think recently what has been scaring me though about sleepwalking lately is that as I'm getting older, in a sense, I don't know if this is affected or not, but there has been an instance or so, 2 instances now, that I've done something in my sleep and I do not remember it. I don't remember that happening at all. And that's scary, because usually when I sleepwalk, I remember what I did. And having those 2 instances, that terrifies me the most. So the first instance was when I took a trip with my family, and this was our trip to Florida, and then we were going to go to Costa Rica and all that. So when we've been traveling all day that day, and when we finally got to Florida, and then I fell asleep on a separate bed that they had to wheel into the hotel room, which was kind of funny because it had squeaky wheels and stuff. And my 2 older sisters are sharing a bed, and then my parents are sharing the other bed. So I'm closest to my oldest sister, which is sleeping on that side of the big bed and next to my other sister. So my oldest sister, according to her, I woke up, I sat up, and I grabbed her arm with force, like, and I started twitching. I sat up, I grabbed her arm with some force, and I sat up and I started twitching. I don't remember that at all. This is in a hotel room, mind you, in a different state, in Florida. Like, that's terrifying. I don't remember doing that. But what I do remember is, because I sleep on my side most of the time, I just remember waking up to my oldest sister saying, "This is hell." That's all I remember. I wake up on my side asleep. I don't It was in the morning that they told me, like, you grabbed my arm and you started twitching. Like, that's terrifying, and I don't remember that at all. So that's scary. And then when I was, when my room was getting painted and I was sleeping in the basement with my sister, her room's down the hall. Apparently one night she was getting up and it was something in the morning and it's dark, right? She was using her phone flashlight to see, and apparently all I did was sit up and she shined her phone flashlight at me and just looking like what I was doing. And I laid back down. I don't remember doing that. I don't remember sitting up for no reason and then laying back down for no reason. Those are two instances that I don't remember doing, and that terrifies me. I like remembering what I do, especially when I sleepwalk, but lately I don't like that. I don't like not remembering what I did or do. So something that I decide to Google, because I'm sure a lot of us have heard the saying, like, is it true or false? Like, is it a good or a bad thing to wake up a sleepwalker? Because that's all I heard in my life, and that's what I tell other people. Like, I heard it's not a good thing to wake up a sleepwalker. It's just not a good idea. So I will put the links in the description so you guys can research the same thing I'm reading. But yes, so this is winchesterhospital.org, and this is what they have on sleepwalking. I'm going to get a drink before I read this. Okay. True or false? Never wake up a sleepwalker. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night to find someone sleepwalking around the house, you know that it's an unnerving experience. But should you wake the person up? See, I was always told, and I've always heard, to never do. So, some people argue that waking sleepwalkers will confuse and anger them, possibly endangering the person doing the waking. Others believe that sleepwalkers should be woken up because they may harm themselves if left alone. See, so far in my life, I have not done anything to harm myself so far. And I say so far because you never know. You can never predict the unknown or the future of what could or may happen. But so far, all I do is sit up, lay back down for no reason, possibly twitch. When we took our trip to Canada, from my cousin's Boston, he had his wedding in Boston, and then we made a side trip to Canada, and in Canada, I sat up and I just screamed. I just yelled, and then I lay back down and went back to sleep. So far I haven't done anything that would cause to harm myself in any way, but you never know. You can never predict the future. So sleepwalking is called a disorder of arousal, and family history is usually what determines whether or not a person will be a sleepwalker. Common triggers such as sedatives, medication, or fever will often only affect those people who are predisposed to sleepwalking. About 18% of the population is prone to sleepwalking, and sleepwalking is common in children, especially those whose parents were sleepwalkers when they were young. Most children who start sleepwalking at an early age outgrow it by the time they reach adolescence. However, if children start sleepwalking after age 9, it is likely they will continue into adulthood. And that is what fucked me up. So when I was in my adolescence, my still friend at the time, I slept over at her house, and I didn't sleep over there in many, many weeks. So when I slept over, I sleepwalked for the first time in a long time, and that was during my high school years. So that one instance has just basically fucked me up for my adulthood. So, cool! I mean, I'm not sleepwalkers aren't dangerous, really, when you think about it, but everybody is different and every trigger is different. Everybody's trigger to sleepwalk is different. So I'm sleepwalking through my adulthood, and according to this study, because it said, where is it? Most children where is it? Sleepwalking is common in children, especially those whose parents were sleepwalkers when they were young. So basically, one of my children in some far future, they're going to be a sleepwalker too. Hey, at least, you know, they'll have something. So this is now, that was just the quick thing. Now they have the evidence for the health claim. Oop, I lost it a second. So this is evidence that they found towards the health-wise. The idea that sleepwalkers should not be woken up is a widely held belief. I agree. Some people think waking a sleepwalker will increase his risk of a heart attack. However, most believe that the person doing the waking is at greater risk for harm. Research on similar forms of sleep pathology has found that some people do get aggressive when woken up from the non-REM, rapid eye movement phase of the sleep cycle, which is when sleepwalking occurs. One study attributed 20 cases of murder and 30 criminal offenses to sleep drunkenness, a condition similar to sleepwalking. Other studies also caution against waking up sleepwalkers because of the possible resistance and violence. Now, in my situation, again, I think the best way is to not wake up a sleepwalker. The best way is to just have someone that we know, someone familiar, just have their hand on the shoulder, or just be like, you know, to let us know someone's there, and just guide us back to bed. I have, as far as I know, I have not resisted going back to bed with the individual. You know, I have never resisted nor done any violence in my sleepwalking. But yeah, this is crazy. So this next paragraph or paragraphs is going to talk about against the claim that, like, it's no big deal to wake them up. The myth that a sleepwalker should be left alone stems from the ancient belief that the soul leaves the body during sleep. And if a sleepwalker is woken up, they will be a body without a soul. Metaphysical reasoning, I think I pronounced that okay. Reasoning aside, the presumption that sleepwalkers will exhibit widely disturbed behavior when awakened is largely unfounded. Although some people may become aggressive, researchers have found that most of the time, sleepwalkers are simply confused, disoriented, scared, or embarrassed. Waking a sleepwalker should be done as gently as possible to avoid such responses. It is difficult to wake a person who is sleepwalking, and many sleep experts recommend gently guiding the person back to bed instead. Like I said, that's just the simple way, and most of the time, including me, I go back to bed, but you know, I haven't resisted yet, and I haven't experienced any, you know, because nobody has woken me up. But yeah, I still hold true to this thing, even though this is the evidence saying, like, it's just a myth. I don't know. I grew up believing you shouldn't ever wake up a sleepwalker, so. But it's interesting that this is saying, like, in an ancient belief that people believe that when someone is sleepwalking, that means they're a body without a soul. That's interesting in itself. That's all I have. That's all my input right there. Sleepwalkers most likely will not remember the incident in the morning. That's what's slowly happening to me, and it's terrifying. I'd rather remember what I did. Personally. Because I used to remember what I did, and I'm with 2 instances already under my belt of not remembering what I did. Luckily, the one instance I was home, and the other one I was just with my family. So it's something. It is important to get the person to go back to sleep in his or her bed, because sleepwalkers often engage in activities that should require full attention and thus are dangerous to do while partially asleep, such as behaviors including leaving the bed and walking downstairs, eating, drinking, cooking, and even driving a car. Therefore, leading the sleepwalker back to bed and waking him if necessary is the safest option. Now for me, like I said, I have left the bed before and just walked around. I haven't done any eating, drinking, cooking, or driving a vehicle, which I can see that being a problem and being scary in the future. But yeah, leading a sleepwalker back to bed is the easiest and the most gentle way possible. Because what happens to me, like the minute I lay back down, the minute you or the person or whoever is guiding me back to my bed, the minute I lay down in the bed, in my bed, or wherever I'm sleeping, I wake up myself and I'm like, oh, what did I do? And then I go back to sleep, and then in the morning you can just tell me what I did. So, and then the conclusion they found, So the conclusion they found this was, although it is possible that waking a sleepwalker could be met with resistance or aggression, it is highly unlikely that the person doing the waking will be harmed. Instead, the sleepwalker could unknowingly jeopardize his own health, if not deteriorated and helped back to bed. It is difficult and often unnecessary to wake a sleepwalker, but doing so may be the best option if the person refuses to return to bed with a gentle guidance. Which, to me, like, again, usually a simple touch and a simple guide back to bed is all that person who is sleepwalking needs. I personally would not try waking up a sleepwalker. I would just helpfully guide them back to bed. So this is just what sleepwalking is, like an overview of it. Sleepwalking, also known as, I'll probably put it somewhere on the screen here while I try to pronounce this thing. Somnambulism. That's not how you say it, but I'll put it on the screen somewhere over here. I didn't even know. I just knew it as sleepwalking. I didn't know it was there was an actual term until this year. So, it involves getting up and walking around while in a state of sleep. More common in children than adults, sleepwalking is usually outgrown by the teen years. Isolated incidents of sleepwalking often don't signal any serious problems or require treatment. However, recurrent sleepwalking may suggest an underlying sleep disorder. And this information that I'm reading just read now is by mayoclinic.org. Again, I'll leave these in the description below so you guys can look at it for yourself. Excuse me. Sleepwalking in adults has a higher chance of coexisting with other sleep disorders as well as medical conditions. If anyone in your household sleepwalks, it's important to protect him or her from potential injuries related to sleepwalking. And then we have some symptoms here. Sleepwalking usually occurs early in the night, often 1 to 2 hours, often falling asleep. It's unlikely to occur during naps. I rarely take naps, but that's good to know. So naps are safe. I won't sleepwalk during a nap. A sleepwalking episode can occur rarely or often, and an episode generally lasts several minutes, but can last longer. And here's someone who is sleepwalking may. So this is what sleepwalkers may do. Now, I will say before I say what a sleepwalker may do, what they have here, I will say when I sleepwalk, it does feel only like a few minutes. So here we go. This is what we may do or what we may look like. We may get out of bed and walk around. Yes. Sit up in bed and open his or her eyes. I sleepwalk with some people. I feel like some people sleepwalk with their eyes closed. And then there's people like me who sleepwalk with their eyes open as if you are awake. So when I sleepwalk, I definitely look like I'm awake, but I'm totally not. But yeah, I have walked, I've sat up, I've screamed or yelled. I have walked out of my bed, and I have walked out of my room. So, don't be afraid. Just guide me back to bed. Have a glazed, glassy-eyed expression. I would say maybe a glazed over the eyes, maybe. But I don't know. I feel like when you say glazed, I feel like you're talking about like someone who is drunk or really, really buzzed. Because when you look at a drunk person or someone who's really, really, buzzed or getting to drunk, their eyes are glazed over when you look at them. So I don't know about glazed or glassy-eyed. I would just say we literally look like we're just straight face like this. We're this emoji with just the eyes and the straight mouth face. But yeah, glaze, what we may do or what we may look like. We may get out of bed and walk around. Yes. Sit up in bed and open his or her eyes. I sleepwalk with some people. I feel like some people sleepwalk with their eyes closed. And then there's people like me who sleepwalk with their eyes open as if you are awake. So when I sleepwalk, I definitely look like I'm awake, but I'm totally not. But yeah, I have walked, I've sat up, I've screamed or yelled. I have walked out of my bed, and I have walked out of my room. So, don't be afraid. Just guide me back to bed. Have a glazed, glassy-eyed expression. I would say maybe a glazed over the eyes, maybe. But I don't know. I feel like when you say glazed, I feel like you're talking about like someone who is drunk or really, really buzzed. Because when you look at a drunk person or someone who's really, really, buzzed or getting to drunk, their eyes are glazed over when you look at them. So I don't know about glazed or glassy-eyed. I would just say we literally look like we're just straight face like this. We're this emoji with just the eyes and the straight mouth face. But yeah, glazed, I don't know if I agree with that. Maybe. Not respond or communicate with others. See, here's the thing. This is why I think everybody's different. Because me, there are times where I do sleep talk and say stuff. I have done it before, and obviously I have yelled. So, but there are definitely moments where like I probably have not said anything. So that depends. That I think would be a flip-floppity. It just depends on the person. Because I've talked, I've said shit, and it probably most likely didn't make sense to the person who was trying to get me to go back to bed. But, be difficult to wake up during an episode. I don't know, there's just something about calling these sleepwalking episodes. I don't know if I like the word episode, but difficult to wake up. See that there. Again, I wouldn't try it. I just wouldn't dare do it. I would just guide them back to bed. Be disoriented or confused for a short period of time after being awakened. See, again, don't try and wake a sleepwalker, in my opinion. Just don't. Just guide them back to bed. It's gonna be scary. We look scary. But we're gentle. For the most part, I have not resisted, nor have I expressed any aggression. So, not remember the episode in the morning. See, I'm slowly getting there. I'm slowly not remembering what I do. But I used to remember what I did, and now I slowly am not remembering. And I'm have problems functioning during the day because of the disturbed sleep. See, it's word choices here, because I wouldn't say problems functioning. Because to me, after I sleepwalk, I just feel fatigued and tired afterwards. Like I didn't get enough sleep, and it's like, I wonder why. So to me, I wouldn't say that's a problem. We don't have a problem functioning in the morning. We're just tired because we were up for a couple minutes during the night where we're supposed to be sleeping. Have sleep terrors in addition to sleepwalking. I had night terrors when I was younger. I did explain this in the last video, but sleep terrors are basically, let's say you have a terrible nightmare that you always have, or have different nightmares, and you just wake up and you're like you're just freaking out, like, oh my god. Take that nightmare and just times it by 10. Maybe I'll look up a definition of night terrors too, because I don't know why I didn't think of that, but night terrors are worse, and I promise you, like, I had night terrors when I was little, to the point where I would get scared and one of my parents had to come in my room and sleep until I calmly fell back asleep again, or try and get me to go back to sleep again after a night terror. They're awful. They're just a nightmare times 10 or 20, depending upon how bad it is. I haven't had a night terror since, but I'm just saying, coming from someone who had night terrors when they were little, they suck. And then here are some other symptoms, saying sometimes a person who is sleepwalking will. Okay, so will do routine activities such as getting dressed, talking, or eating. See, I have talked, but I haven't gotten dressed because I'm in my comfies. I'm in my whatever I'm sleeping in that night already. So it's like, I haven't tried to dress myself, but I've talked, and I have not tried to eat anything. Leave the house. See, I never left the house, but I've left my room. So there's a potential thing there, which is kind of scary, because I know how to, because that means for me that since I've left my room before and walked around outside of my room, that could indicate that could lead up to that, eventually leaving my house. Which I have not done yet. I'm just saying, since I've left the vicinity of my bedroom, there's no reason why I wouldn't, travel further. Like go downstairs and leave the actual home. Or my potential home. So, yeah, that's a little scary. Drive a car. I don't think, or I would do that, but you don't know when you're sleepwalking, because you're basically just roaming around mindlessly, like without knowing, like you're performing daily functions you do in the daytime without checking in with your brain. and what you're doing. So this next one, engage in unusual behaviors such as urinating in a closet. Gross. I have never done that. Thank God. That is absolutely disgusting. That is disgusting. Engage in sexual activity without awareness. See, I've never done that. I've never had sex while I sleptwalk, while sleepwalking, but then again, I sleep in my bedroom alone, so I wouldn't know if I were to engage in sexual activity while I sleep, because I sleep in my room alone. I don't know, maybe that's a future thing. I've never done that. But that, sleepwalkers be crazy. Okay, get injured, or example by falling down the stairs or jumping out a window. See, during the day, I have fallen down some stairs in my time while being awake in the day. I've done that plenty. Just fallen down the stairs. I've never jumped out a window, so I don't think that's one for me. I don't think I would do that. That while I'm asleep. The last one is become violent during the period or brief confusion immediately after waking or occasionally during sleepwalking. I've never been violent. I've just grabbed my sister's hand and twitched. I don't call that violent. But that is a bit like if someone just randomly grabbed my arm out of the dead of night, I'd be terrified too. But I wouldn't call that violent. Okay, this one. This is the causes, or the potential causes. Ugh. Sleepwalking is classified as a parasoma, an undesirable behavior or experience during sleep. Sleepwalking is a disorder of arousal, meaning it occurs during N3 sleep, the deepest stage of non-rapid eye movement sleep. Another NREM disorder is sleep terrors, which can occur together with sleepwalking. Again, had both when I was little. Grew out of night terrors, only have sleepwalking now. And here's the thing with me too. I only sleepwalk when myself, like my body, is in a different place. So, and those are other examples. Like Canada, I was in a different place. Florida, I was in a different place. Like when my body's in a different environment, it sleepwalks. And that's just what it does. So, many factors can contribute to sleepwalking, including sleep deprivation, so not getting enough sleep, stress, A fever, sleep schedule disruptions, such as travel or sleep interruptions. Okay. Then it has, sometimes sleepwalking can be triggered by underlying conditions that interfere with sleep, such as the following. So we have sleep disordered breathing. A group of disorders featuring abnormal breathing patterns during sleep. For example, obstructive sleep apnea. I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't know if my sleep breathing is off. Taking certain medications such as hydronics, sedatives, or certain medications used for psychiatric disorders. Don't know. Substance use such as alcohol. I mean, I'm 24. I've had some alcohol in my day, and I have not sleptwalked at all with alcohol in my system, so that's good. Restless leg syndrome. I don't know what that is. Oh, Jesus. This is another word that I cannot pronounce. Gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's GERD. I'll put that word here too. Okay, here are some I lost it. Here are some risk factors. Okay, factors that may increase the risk of sleepwalking include genetics. Sleepwalking appears to run in families. It's more common if you have one parent who has a history of sleepwalking, and much more common if both parents have a history of the disorder. I don't know. I don't know if my parents sleptwalked, or sleepwalkers, or were, but interesting. Age. Sleepwalking occurs more often in children than adults, and onset in adulthood is more likely related to other underlying conditions. Excuse me. Here are some complications. Sleepwalking itself isn't necessarily a concern, because it's not. We're very gentle but scary looking. Sleepwalking itself isn't necessarily a concern, but a person who sleepwalks can hurt themselves, especially if they walk near furniture or stairs, wander outdoors, drive a car, or eat something inappropriate during a sleepwalking episode. I didn't mean to laugh at that last one, but that's kind of funny in itself. Like, my brain just went to different things when I read that last sentence. Like, walking near furniture makes sense. Walking near stairs, wandering outdoors, driving a car. All common, simple things. And then you get, or eating something inappropriate during the sleepwalking episode. So what does that entail? What would that entail? And eating something inappropriate. That can mean anything. Basically, you could have, like, they could have just put in, instead of that, they could have just put like things that are not edible in their mouth. Because the inappropriate insinuates like different stuff. Let's put it that way. It insinuates different stuff. Where they could have simply said eating stuff that is not edible. But no. Okay, the next one I have on here is experience prolonged sleep disruption, which can lead to excessive daytime sleepiness and possible school or behavior issues. I don't know if I would call getting enough sleep a behavior issue. You're just tired and grumpy. That's normal. I wouldn't call that an issue. Alright. Next we have be embarrassed or experience problems with social relationships. See what I mean? Like when I read something, my face reacts before I get to say words. Yeah. Does that happen with you guys too? Just in general conversation or whatever you're doing, your face will just automatically react and then you have no time to save yourself with words? Same. But I understand. Okay, back to this. I understand being embarrassed by the experience. Because you get told in the morning what you did and you're just like, oh God, what did I do? But experience problems with social relationships, I think that entitles into what you did while you sleepwalk, I guess. That kind of ties into like, depending on what you did in your sleep, that's going to cause issues with people. But again, it depends on what they did, and sometimes we don't remember what we did. So we need other people to tell us what we did. Disturb others' sleep. I can see that because as a sleepwalker, you get up out of bed or wherever you're sleeping, and if there's another individual in the same vicinity as you, I can see them calmly sleeping and then hearing you get up and being like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, waking up that way, you just disturbed them. Rarely, but injure someone else nearby. I don't see a sleepwalker hurting anybody, personally. But then again, that falls into the category that everybody is different, so everyone's body reacts differently. Me, I haven't hurt anyone. I probably terrified people, but I never hurt someone. Or even for that matter, tried to hurt myself, so. So that's that. I did find something else, which I thought was interesting too. Big stretch moment. Yeah, if you saw that, I have long limbs. That looks terrifying. I look like Slendy. But yeah, like when God was making me, he really said, I want a short person, but I want them to have long limbs. And he got me. So, I hope you're enjoying this because, like, I enjoy making these sleepwalking videos because not only do I get to provide knowledge for you guys, or if you're a sleepwalker like me, this is new stuff to you, because this is new stuff to me, and I found this really interesting. I find it interesting. I find the brain interesting. So, can you tell? In high school, my favorite subject was science and art, I would say. Okay, so I found this article, and it says, whoops, it is by WebMD, and it is 5 steps for stopping a sleepwalker. And I found this interesting. So let's get on to it. Janice used to think her husband sleepwalking was funny. He fumbled through the dark, often muttered incoherently, and occasionally walked into walls. But she stopped laughing when he made his way to the garage one night and started the car. Experts estimate that sleepwalking affiliates between 1% and 15% of general population. It's more common in children, especially those between the ages 3 and 7, than in adults. According to the National Sleep Foundation's in 2004 Sleep in America poll, 1% of preschool children and 2% of school-aged children walked in their sleep at least a few nights a week. The persistence of sleepwalking into adulthood is common. Overall, it is more likely to happen in sleep-deprived people. Am I a sleep-deprived person? I don't know. I do stay up late making videos and TikTok, so I don't know if I'm sleep-deprived, but fortunately, sleepwalking is not usually associated with underlying psychiatric or psychological problems. I know there's going to be people in these comments being like, you're not pronouncing that right, you're not pronouncing this right. I'm trying. It's simply a sleep disorder that usually happens when a person is in the deep sleep phase, which should be the most restful. Recuperative phase. Instead, sleepwalkers begin to do activities typical of wakefulness, such as talking, sitting up and looking around the room, getting out of bed and roaming the house, or even picking up car keys and going for a drive, all the while remaining in deep sleep. Not only are sleepwalkers difficult to awaken, they usually recall little or nothing about their nighttime adventures. See, I used to recall them, and now I don't. Scary. Worse, they may even attack anyone trying to wake them up. I never have. I never attacked the person trying to wake me up, nor did that person ever try to wake me up. They just guided me back to slumber. Okay. Sleep deprivation is a common cause of this disorder. Other triggers include sedative agents such as alcohol, illnesses accompanied by a fever, and certain medications. There is no specific treatment for sleepwalking. Improving sleep hygiene is step 1 in elevating the problem. You know what? I'm trying. Okay, where am I? Okay, found it. Some adults find hypnosis helpful, while others have tried antidepressants such as those in the SSRI class or tricycle antidepressants, or other prescription medications such as benzodiazepine like clopine with success. To me, if you need medication, if you don't want to sleepwalk and you're taking medication, again, I don't feel like sleepwalking or sleepwalkers are dangerous at all. But if you feel the need that it's so bad that you need medication, I'm not a doctor, so if you feel the need for it, that's your business. Personally, I don't think you need medication. But that's just me. Because so far for me, I'm not a dangerous sleepwalker. I just roam around and just guide me peacefully back to sleep. Anywho, back to this. Waking someone who is sleepwalking can be dangerous, but allowing a sleepwalker to roam about a room filled with sharp objects, or to jump into a driver's seat of a vehicle is what's really hazardous. Well, that's why you guide them back to bed. But again, everybody's different. Some people are going to be nice like me, and I'm sure there's people who are that advanced that they would do something crazy, so it affects people differently, but commonly sleepwalking is not a dangerous thing. Also, I have not walked into any walls. Yet. The lesson: stop sleepwalkers and get them back to bed. How? Gently turn them around and make sure they return to the bedroom safely. If they resist, stay with them and help them avoid perilous objects and situations. If you must awaken them, do so with loud noises rather than by shaking or touching them roughly. And that is all I have. Oh, I'm actually going to take a minute. Night terrors. Okay, here's something. So this is just, so I found something. It's just a little diagram of like, of a list that is, and obviously you can Google night terrors for yourselves versus nightmares, but this is what I found, and it's a thing just putting nightmares in one, and all the things that go with that, and night terrors, sleep terrors, and having all the things in a category of what makes them different. So nightmares are occur during REM, sleep, mid to late night, subdued verbalizations, moderate psychological arousal, slight or no movements, easy to arouse and responsive to environment, frequently remembered, common, relucent to return to sleep. Sleep terrors occur during non-REM sleep, first third of night, verbalizations usually present, intense psychological arousal, like the heart rate is up, sweating, etc. Extreme motor activity, difficult to arouse and unresponsive to environment, limited or no memory, somewhat rare, 1 to 4%, usually rapid return to sleep. Let's see what else. A nightmare, so in a nightmare, there's no, occurs during REM, sleep again. There's no crying, no moving, needs comforting, can remember dream. Okay, that's a nightmare. Night terror occurs between sleep cycles, crying and increased respiration, sudden fear reaction, no recollection of the night terror. Anything else? Oh, here we go. I think this is the same one I had in the previous thing. So nightmares, night terrors, are dreams that scar people and cause them to wake up. Night terrors are much more severe and usually leave the person moaning, crying, gasping, screaming. They are so severe the fear can can last from 5 to 20 minutes. It is also so scary a person's heartbeat is usually about 160 to 170 beats per minute. So a nightmare are dreams that scare people and cause them to wake up. That's a nightmare, and that's common. A night terror is much more severe and usually leaves the person moaning, crying, gasping, and screaming. They are so severe that the fear can last from 5 to 20 minutes. It is also so scary a person's heartbeat is usually about 160 to 170 beats per minute. And I was lucky enough to have night terrors and sleepwalking as a child. And now I've grown out of night terrors, and I only sleepwalk when my body is in a different environment. So I think you and I have learned a lot. And yeah, like every time I do one of these, like I learn so much. And it's just cool. Now, as for my ghostly adventures, I haven't gotten anything recently, but the ones I do remember, but again, I don't, because again, mirrors are like portals in a way, just like a Ouija board. I don't want to exaggerate anything, but yeah, I had, when my dresser was here along this wall, there was a mirror attached to it that looked at my bed, which I learned is a big no-no, but and I've had a lot of spooky experiences, and I think the thing that I can say for the most part is I haven't had any interactions recently. I think the only things that have happened is that was kind of, it didn't scare me. It was a bit spooky, and it's just something that I've heard. I don't know. Again, we don't know if that's true or not. But one night I was asleep, and I'm trying to think what leg it was. I think it was this one. On my right thigh, my right leg, on my calf and my thigh, I just felt excruciating pain for a little bit. I don't know what time it was, but I just felt pain all up in there. I even put my hand down by my calf and stuff, and it was painful, but it eventually went away. And then I took a shower the next morning, and in the shower I noticed, because I woke up and my leg wasn't hurting anymore. But what I did find was that there were 2 bruises. One bruise was on my thigh and one was on my calf. And supposedly, I don't know if this is fact or not, but I've heard that when you get bruises or scratches or whatever it may be from, like, you don't know where they came from, that is basically what is it? Basically a demon or something. I don't know. Let's look it up. Why don't we? Why not turn this even to a spooky video? See, I don't even know how to search for this. See, this is, I don't even know how to search for that because I heard that a long time ago. But this, all I googled was waking up with bruises that you did not make, and it basically, Google was basically like, you have cancer. Or it was also saying you're low on vitamins and stuff like that. But I don't know. I heard something like if you wake up with like bruises or something, like a demon was near you or something. I don't even know how to search for that, but I'll look further into that because I heard that one time and now it's stuck in my brain. But yeah, and the thing is too, like, I'm a clumsy bitch. I'm a clumsy oaf. So if I made those bruises, I would have noticed. I would have noticed them earlier. And I think the factor is, like, that's kind of scary is that that was painful. And then the next morning I saw those. And the bruises were green. So it's like, eh. But yeah, Google's saying I have like cancer and I'm low on some vitamins, which I don't know, Google. I don't know. Also, something that I tried to look up too is that I heard something on TikTok. I don't know if I saved it or not, but it was this person, I don't even remember their tag, but they were talking about how there's like this myth of a demon that is hidden behind your mirrors, like mirrors in your bathroom, and they will catch feelings for a human, like crushing on a human. So that's something too that I wanted to look up, and I started searching for stuff to make a video out of it, and I found stuff, but it didn't, I don't know, it wasn't as useful as I thought it would be. So that's not going to be a video anymore. It was going to, but I don't know. So yeah, those are two interesting things. Interesting spooky things. But for the most part, this was a video about sleepwalking and sleepwalkers, including myself as a sleepwalker. And yeah, I don't see sleepwalkers being dangerous. I do think that the person who is watching us, or that will hopefully guide us back to bed, does guide us back to bed, because I find that to be the simplest and the easiest way. I wouldn't try waking us up. I would try to get us back to bed. But again, if there is resistance, I would just chill with us. Just chill with us and then try again later. But I hope you guys found this really interesting. It did get a little spooky there for no reason at all. I just wanted to I don't know, share two things. Share two things that are spooky. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. This is just like a sit, chill, informational video. You teach me. Basically, we learn together. Because when I was looking that stuff up, I didn't know what was going to pop up, and I came across that stuff, and very interesting, very interesting. So, thank you for listening and learning with me. And you guys are all beautiful. You're all gorgeous. Gorgeous. That's new. You're all beautiful. You're all gorgeous. You're all motherfucking talented. And I will see you all soon. Yeah. So here we go. This is what